Tonight, the Camel Screen Guild Players present the long-awaited radio premiere of one of James Cagney's most delightful pictures, Johnny Come Lately, based on Louis Bromfield's novel, McCloud's Folly, and starring James Cagney in his original role of Tom Richards and Agnes Moorehead as Mrs. McCloud. The Camel Screen Guild Players in Johnny Come Lately. The place is Plattsville, the time 1906. Plattsville, like many other towns, is trying to straddle two centuries. And sometimes past and present meet quite oddly, as on this particular morning in May. Mr. Blacker, the pawnbroker, answers a tapping at his door. His back door, that is, the one that opens on the alley.
Yes? Oh, Mrs. McCloud, come in.
Thank you. Mr. Blaker, you remember my silver candlesticks?
Why, sure, I remember them mighty fine.
I thought I'd like to leave them with you for a little to look after with the other things.
Why, sure, Mrs. McCloud. Be glad to keep them safe for you.
I wouldn't bother you, but it's the first of the month, and it takes quite a bit to run that newspaper, and, well, you understand.
Sure. Well, how'd $50 be?
Oh, these candlesticks are worth much more than that.
Well, seeing as how it's the first of the month, maybe I can make it 60.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Blaker. Thank you very much. Now, just one more thing.
Oh? What's that?
Will you please go through the alley and have a look? I mean, someone might be coming down the street, and you understand.
Sure, Mrs. McCloud, I understand.
Thank you.
Morning, Miss McCloud.
Good morning, Mr. Nundy.
Nice morning, Benny.
Oh, it's a lovely morning, Magnolia.
You there, Benny McCloud. Hold
What?
on a minute.
Oh, Frank Critchlow.
I just cutting through the park on the way to your office. Benny, you write that editorial in the Shield and Banner this morning?
Yes, why? Didn't you like it?
Sure, I liked it. I liked it fine. Just what this town needs.
Well, I thought it was a little strong.
Strong, me eye. About time somebody laid into that fella Dougherty. The way he's running this town's a scandal. Why, I can remember when Plattsville...
My goodness. What's that?
Fella stretched out on that bench. Tramp, I guess.
Reading a book? Must be very amusing.
Yeah, I suppose so. Now, Vinny, about this Bill Dougherty, I say you gotta hit him hard, straight from the shoulder. You gotta get right down to cases. You gotta name names. And you... Vinny? That ain't just like Vinny McCloud. Well, I can tell you I don't bother with no tramps. No, sir, I got too darn many.
Oh, it's Pickwick.
How's that?
I beg your pardon. I was just looking to see what was making you laugh so. It's the Pickwick papers.
Yeah, good, huh?
Yes, I haven't read it for years.
Worth taking another look at.
I met Charles Dickens when he was here in 1967.
Hey, did you now?
Yes, I really did. But you know you shouldn't be lying on this bench reading that.
Why not? Know anything better?
Well, I mean, the police are very hard on vagrants in this town. They take them in and put them on the road gang.
They do?
Yes. There's a Mr. Dougherty. Does a lot of building for the state. That's how he gets the men for his... Now, really, you'd better be moving on.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Much obliged for the tip.
Well, aren't you going?
You bet. And then I finish this chapter.
But it isn't safe.
I've only got a couple of pages more.
Oh, well, I guess a couple of pages. Now, don't get too interested and start the next chapter.
I won't. And don't you worry about me.
I won't. Goodbye.
Goodbye, ma'am. Thanks.
Mrs. McCloud, just a moment, please.
I'm sorry. Oh, good morning, Mr. Dougherty.
Good morning, Mrs. McCloud. I just happened to see you from my office window. I'd like to have a little talk with you.
Well, I'm afraid this is my busy morning. I have to get to the court.
Oh, I won't keep you long. I've just been wondering how your newspaper is doing.
Oh, all right. Quite all right.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. Someone told me you were having a bit of trouble.
Oh, no, not really. Nothing to speak of.
Of course, I don't get to read your stuff very often. The News is my paper. I've got quite a bit of money in it, but I just happened to read your editorial this morning.
Did you?
Tell me, just what do you think is wrong with the way this town's being run?
Well, a lot of things, Mr. Dougherty. Those new houses on Parker Street, they're not at all well built, you know.
Mrs. McCloud, I built those houses.
Yes, I know, but I thought perhaps you hadn't looked at them.
Well,
Since they were finished, I mean.
Did you?
They're not safe. They're not safe. There have been accidents already. And then the new waterworks. They should have been finished long ago. Why, did you know there were 4 more babies died of typhoid this week? And the police, they don't...
Listen, Mrs. McLeod, your paper does a nice little job covering the social news, weddings and things like that. But if you feel you've got to have public-spirited stuff, why not use my editorial writing?
Yours?
Yes, a couple of boys who work on the news. You'll like their style.
But I don't understand.
I've had them pound out a few things just on a hunch. Here, you take them along. You can put your own name on them, of course, by Vinnie McLeod. Wouldn't that look good?
Mr. Doherty, you're treating me like a child.
Oh, no, Mrs. McLeod. I'm treating you like an old lady who's poking her nose into what doesn't concern her. Now, you just take these editorials along and you print them.
And if I refuse?
You won't refuse, so why discuss it? You just forget about editorials for a while and worry about your bills, Vinnie, and the mortgage on your house. Agreed?
Well, I don't know. I'll have to read these things first after I get back from court.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Robbins. What have we got this morning? Court sits.
The Plattsville Court is now in session. First case, George Brenshaw, Hiram Webster, Thomas Richards, charged with vagrancy. Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty. No jobs, eh? Well, you've got jobs now. 60 days working for the city on the road gang. Take 'em away, next case.
Oh, well, wait a minute. I said not guilty.
Huh? What's that?
I said not guilty, Your Honor.
You mean you want to waste the time of this court with a trial?
Well, I'm entitled to it.
Yes, I guess you're entitled to it. Robbins, let me see the charge.
Right here, Your Honor. Name is Thomas Richards.
Name Thomas Richards. No fixed abode. That right, young man?
Yeah, I guess so, yes.
Occupation newspaperman. What newspaper do you work for?
Well, none. Right now. But I've been on newspapers off and on ever since I was a kid.
More off than on, I'll bet. What are you doing here in Plattsville?
Passing through, if you'll allow me.
Young fellow, I'll advise you not to be impertinent. Where did you sleep last night?
I didn't sleep. I walked.
You still contend you're not a vagrant. What else would you call a man who walks all night?
A somnambulist.
Order in the court.
Your Honor, I walked all night because I like walking all night. Is that a crime?
It is in this town. It's vagrancy. Police find you sprawled out on a bench in the park. No home, no job,
Your Honor, may I say a word?
Mrs. McLeod?
Your Honor, I just wanted to say, if this young man wants a job, I'll give him one.
That's very kind of you, ma'am, but...
I'm the editor of the Shield and Banner. I can use you as a reporter.
Now, wait a minute.
Judge Flynn, you can't sentence a man for vagrancy if he has employment. And this man has, with me.
But, Mrs. McLeod, that's just plain silly. How much you figure you'll have to pay him?
Well, I hadn't really thought.
Well, you'd better. This court must be sure he'll make enough to keep himself.
Well,
Your Honor, I don't think
Now, be quiet, you. This court fixes the defendant's salary at $35 a week.
$35?
Yes, first week's salary payable in advance. Now, Mrs. McLeod, what do you say?
Just a minute, Your Honor.
It's all right. I agree.
Now, listen, ma'am.
I said I agree. Now, here you are, your first week's salary. Now, Your Honor, can he go?
Not so fast now. The clerk will enter it on the record. The prisoner is guilty of vagrancy as charged. But owing to the intervention of Mrs. McLeod, a citizen of prominence and character, the court will parole him in her charge for 2 months. Prisoner's free to go. Next case.
All right now, on the level. Why did you do it, Mrs. McLeod?
Well, maybe because you were reading Dickens, and maybe because that part about being a newspaper man, that was true, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was true. I've been on and off newspapers all my life.
Oh, that's fine.
But now, I'm not working now, you understand? So, here's your money back, and I'll be getting along.
Oh, but you can't go now. You're on parole to me. If you skipped out now, I'd get in trouble. They'd take me into court and, well, you saw yourself how they run things here.
Yeah. Look, you own a paper. Can't you do something about conditions like that?
Oh, I've tried. But you see, Mr. Doherty's the big boss here. He controls the other paper, the news. And he's very powerful.
Well, if he's too tough for you, why don't you turn the paper over to somebody else, somebody with some fight in him?
Oh, there isn't anyone. Though when I heard the way you spoke up to Judge Flynn, I did wonder for a minute if
Oh, no, wait a minute.
No?
Hold everything. Look, I don't want to get you into trouble. I'll work out my parole. But after that, well, I'm afraid you'd better not count on me. I'll be getting out of town as fast as I can.
Well, you can't blame me for hoping. Now let's get you home and get some breakfast into you.
All right.